19th century, whatever it was, when they came up with this idea that the Earth had reached its carrying capacity. You understand? So, I mean, all these people that are pro-science, pushing the vaccine and all this, why aren't they pushing that? That's science too. The Earth reaches its carrying capacity. So, oh, you know what? I mean, you should abort your children, and, we've got to let the plague sweep through the population. Thin out the herd. Only the strong will survive. Darwin's theory of evolution, right? And all that. All that science, right? The theories. But they've got a consensus, and they say it's unanimous, but only because they don't give a voice to the dissenters. You see how we're manipulated, all the propaganda and crap. I mean, the wool's been pulled over our eyes. The prince of this world is, like Christ said, the prince of darkness, and that's evil. I mean, and there's all these minions. A lot of them at the very uppermost echelons of power are witting and openly devil worshippers. Okay, I don't like to say that, but I mean, they're unabashed about it. So you can find this stuff out for yourself. They're into this weird stuff. So they don't care about you. They don't care. I mean, these are genocidalist-minded people that erect things like the Georgia Guidestones, this New World Order cabal, some of these people. But some of these people are unwitting too. I mean, especially some of the lesser minions. But nevertheless, you end up going to the same place by following what they're telling you. You've got to object. And if your life is perfect and you think you're completely right, you're not at all delusional or self-deceived or in any way deceived by the ways of the world, you've got to do it for somebody else, okay? Because we've all got our convictions and principles and beliefs that we feel very strongly about. And we have to respect that in each other. So fundamentally, we've got to respect each other on a local level. Respect people. Start with people in your own household, your family. Even nemesis, enemies, you think. You got to love them. Christ said a lot of time, this is who they are, right in our own household, whatever that meant, because a household could mean your community. If we're one family, then the planet Earth is one neighborhood. So there's all sorts of ways of looking at this thing. But we're called on to love our enemies and pray for those who persecute you, bless people, and sincerely, genuinely. You can't feign your love for your enemy. Okay, but some people say, well, that's stupid. I'm supposed to love the guy that killed my child. I mean, I get it. God gets it. It's tough. It's a bear. But we're all under the same yoke. And forgiveness is huge. Okay, we've got to learn to forgive others if we're going to learn to forgive ourselves. It's one and the same. We've got to forgive ourselves if we're going to forgive others. And to me, it all comes back to understanding our roots, our origin. We got off to a very rocky start. If you trace history back to the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible and the land of Nod, which Cain was exiled to, I mean, that's as far back as I know of any recorded history of the human race. Okay, because I know the scientists, it goes back billions and billions of years, and it started with the ape men, and we evolved. Whatever. All I know is there was a jump, okay, a leap in intelligence. And I think Adam and Eve, exemplify that, whatever it's a metaphor, an analogy for, an allegory, okay, this original sin, the fall of man, the knowledge of good and evil, carnal knowledge, all this crap, shame, knowing shame, guilt, knowing our nakedness, and then death came. We didn't need to die. Because you can see, if God's that powerful, he could create the universe, everything contained there in the galaxy, solar systems, all the life, the light, everything beautiful and joyful and good. It's just like, wow, this our senses and all this great stuff. He could pull the fertility plug. So if the planet's going to get overpopulated, God's in charge of that. He won't let it happen. But death came into the picture. We were duped. We were deceived. Same stuff's going on today. Some people know they're being deceived. Some don't. They just can't face the music. They've got cognitive dissonance. The Stockholm syndrome. They say the path of least resistance, but they don't know. They're going into the maws. I mean, there's only two places we can go from here, up or down. And they're going to go in the maws of these evil men. And I'm trying to say, understand that these people are miserable. And if you're stuck there alone with them, and there's no more righteous people to suck the souls out of, spiritual vampirism. whatever you want to call it. Okay, because that's what has to happen. If you're God, put yourself in God's position. You do the same thing Christ predicted. You've got to separate the wicked from the righteous. No ifs, ands, or buts. No equivocation. Right? That's it. You say at some point, you put your foot down. This is bad for my kids that are behaving and obedient and love me and are my servant and my friend of their own free will and accord and just want peace on earth, safety and security for all of earth's inhabitants, fairness and freedom and prosperity and goodness for all mankind. They're being picked on. They're being abused. And I'm not going to tolerate it forever. I'm putting my foot down, and that is what is predicted. That is what is prophesied. And he separates the wicked from the righteous. So you can only go two places from here. You got to be all in with the side of the righteous and the people. Just the regular, everyday people that will not sell their conscience or compromise it for anything. I mean, they can be stupid too, but they're not sellouts. They're not going to, for no amount of money. They may fall headlong into sin. Who doesn't? I mean, millions of times. I mean, what is sin, though? We shouldn't even know what it is. We shouldn't know what erotic means. Okay, what is it? What is erotic? I mean, God made procreation, mating. Is it erotic? I mean, what does that mean? What does nakedness mean? You understand? It would have no more meaning than it does to the animals if we hadn't had this carnal knowledge, the knowledge of good and evil. When we became aware of our nakedness, we tried to hide from God. We knew we had been bad children, our ancestors, let's say. And so they felt that shame, that guilt, that separation, that sense of separation. And who hasn't felt it? We've all felt it. We know. It's in us. It's in our blood. It's like it's in our DNA and our genes. And that's the gene, the death gene. And, the only one we could turn to for that is God. This is where all the bad stuff comes from. When God was sorry he created us, our relationship got off to a rocky start. And it's a tough road to hoe to get back in his graces, but he's always there because of that love, that agape love. He can't resist. So he understands what a bummer it is that we have this awareness. Okay, we should not know how to sin. We should not know guilt. We should not know shame. We should not know how to ever do wrong, to be ungodly or immoral or unethical or unfair, unjust, anything bad at all. You understand? Pure of heart. That's why he created us. And if we had been obedient, as simple as that, and not done the one thing he said not to do, anything else we could do, that's fine. We were free. But not that one thing, and we screwed up. So it's taking these thousands of years, but God is patient and restrained. He knew it was just going to take a long time. Father knows best, and that's where we are now. But it's wrapping up, and evil men are going to fight tooth and nail. They're miserable because their entire paradigm is being destroyed, demolished. They want it to remain a totally money-based society that gives them the advantage, the upper hand, and they love that. They love their lives in this world. They love that huge advantage that having gobs and gobs of dough gives them. And it's just, the two cannot coexist indefinitely. It's totally unfair that God tolerate his children being bullied about by these figurative monsters, okay? Really, that's what it comes down to. So it's so important to understand the economics of this stuff. Okay, look at all history is rife with stories of oppressing people, and the evildoers could not resist. They pushed the envelope too far. They had a bloody revolt on their hands, or some horrible other scenario where they end up losing again, and then we get a reset of the economy. That's what was happening under JFK. God, they could not let him succeed with a sound economic currency, sound policy, sound dollar that kept going up in worth because we simply had fairness in society. God forbid. Got to get rid of this guy. We can't enslave the population with sound economic policy, sound money that keeps going up in worth. You see where that ends. Money becomes irrelevant. Everybody's got so much and it's worth so much. Everybody's rich and they keep going to their jobs and society works like a well-oiled machine and nobody cares about us anymore. We don't have an advantage and we can't manipulate you and. That's how the evil men are, like snot-nosed, spoiled brat children that took over the candy store and just with baseball bats, hey, you want some candy? You're going to get hit beat a few times, but we'll damn it. And if you kiss our rumps and tell us how great we are, comply and conform and capitulate, we might give you a little extra candy. But if you don't say nice things about it, no candy for you. And we just cower. Stockholm syndrome, mass Stockholm syndrome, has infected the American population and by extension the rest of the world because we are the most influential nation to this day. Why do people want to come? America, America. Oh, it's the exemplification, the epitome, the archetype of freedom and liberty and land of opportunity. And so many foreigners are very successful when they come here because Americans, we do have laid back people that say, chill, man, let's, live simply and just let others simply live and all that crap. And yet, this is what we got as a result, is that they dominate. And the American culture, it's shot. Look, I'm not blaming foreigners, immigrants, or nothing. It's the policy we've tolerated. I pointed out over and over again how this whole thing with this wealth imbalance and the mess we're in with the currency debasement through cost of living inflation, all this crap could have been simply avoided completely if the Federal Labor Department each and every year came out and said we are giving X amount increase or decrease to the federal minimum wage worker. It's a two-way street, goes up or down. If your cost of living is going down, then your wages can go down. You would agree, because your money's worth more. So if you're still getting a little richer gradually, slowly, but hey, it's getting better, so you keep your chin up, and it's like, yeah, it's getting better and better every day, just a little bit, but it's getting better because your money's going up in worth. So if that keeps happening because your cost of living keeps going down, because of supply and demand and capitalism, because we as a civilized society find easier and easier methods to produce all the things we want and need. So that explains it in a nutshell why the worth of your currency is naturally, organically supposed to go up under supply and demand principles if the game's being played fair. But if it's not, that's when the Federal Labor Department could say, hey, sorry, employers, bosses, masters out there, but we got to raise the federal minimum wage workers' wages. Otherwise, for all intents and purposes, mathematically speaking, they just got to pay decrease because the cost of living went up. Simple Simon, logic, math, all that stuff, irrefutable stuff. So they'd be 100% wholly justified to do that and explain what's going on and the colluding special interest groups that benefit. For example, manipulating housing costs. Who benefits? Landlords, speculators, flippers, property managers, the lenders. More money. The higher the prices go on houses, the real estate agents. These people work on commissions, remember, lenders and real estate agents. So you see all the colluding special interest groups that have an interest in saying, hey, it's a good thing, and we're just going to label it value. The housing values are going up, and that's a good thing. But you understand, housing is an essential human need. It's like saying that it's you got better value because the cost of your eggs went up. Is it not? It's a fair comparison because they're both essential human needs, food and housing. So you understand where I'm going with this. We've been trained to be insane. That's how evil these men are. They're insane. And how can we not all be a little nuts? Want to metaphorically slash our wrists. Metaphorically want to blow our brains out. Jump off a bridge, or at least, for God's sake, escape somehow. Find some way to anesthetize ourselves to cope in this malevolent unreality that's been shoved down our throats from birth. It's very natural. Have vices and addictions and all this crap that plagues our society. Is it no wonder? These people are evil, man. They're so evil. You think I trust them? I'm so skeptical. I'm so cynical, and it's 100% wholly justified. This mess we're in could have totally been prevented, but they love it. They create it. They think they're more blessed. They think they're better. The self-appointed gods of the earth, they think they're smarter than you. They're not. They're just meaner. They're willing to compromise, to sell their very conscience for a buck.